Hi, everybody. This is Jay Delvecchio. I am very fortunate to have one of our great teachers, instructors, and just accomplished professional on here, Suzanne Dunn. She will be leading this webinar. So let's enjoy and kick back. And remember, I am unmuting everybody so you can ask your questions as we go along and get immediate feedback from Sue. Okay, Sue, all you.
All right, thank you, Jay. Thank you very much. Well, hello, everyone. I want to thank you for attending this webinar. I enjoy giving presentations and share my knowledge as well as learning from all of you. I always learn something new, and I love interacting with the audience, so this is going to be really great. And as you know, we're doing types of protein in the building blocks of good energy. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself in a moment, but I wanted you to keep in mind too that I'm sure, as you know, if you're a trainer, a health coach, or a health profession, that protein definitely is the most hottest topic anywhere, everywhere when it comes to weight loss, bodybuilding, feeling full. So it's a very hot topic. And maybe some things you agree with, some you don't, and that's where a good discussion can take place. But there's just so much information about protein. But what I'm going to present today is evidence-based that's been out there, lots of peer review on a lot of this information, and we still take what works for us and what may not. And there's always outliers where people are different for what they need for protein needs. But as we go through, we'll discuss and just have a nice friendly conversation. But before I start, I like to start off with a joke. Okay, my jokes are pretty lame, but I came across this one and I really like it. So here's the joke or the question. What is a chicken's favorite kind of vegetable? And I guess you can unmute if you want and shout it out.
Anybody?
Anybody gonna unmute? What's it?
But I think it's the opposite. Chicken fingers.
That would be good, right? That would be good. Anybody else? All right, I'll tell you so we can get started. So a chicken's favorite kind of vegetable, ready? Eggplant. Get it?
Oh.
Eggplant. All right, just a bit of humor to start. So, all right, thank you for entertaining me on that. So, okay, so here's a little bit about myself. My name is Sue Dunn, and I am a business owner. I own the Dunn Health Center, and I've owned my business here for 6 years, but I've been in this field for 39 years. This is my 39th year of personal training, and my audience tends to be, or my client tends to be more of age 50 to 75, but some younger, some older too. And I'm currently in my PhD right now for lifestyle medicine. I have such a great interest in that, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of lifestyle medicine. And it's not so much Western medicine, but it can go hand in hand together. I do have my master's in health and wellness management, and I am board certified as a health coach through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and of course, a certified personal trainer. So that's a bit about me. And next, sorry, my mouse keeps disappearing, so next. Okay, so here's the agenda, the overview of what we're going to do. So we'll explore the fundamental aspects of proteins, starting with an introduction to the definitions and types of protein that are there, talking about animal and plant-based proteins. and the nutritional benefits of both and the types of impacts that they can have on our health. And we'll go into the evidence-based protein facts and the role of energy or building blocks of energy. And again, I do encourage questions, and if I don't know them, I'll let you know for sure. Okay, so I know all of you are familiar with protein. So the definition, proteins we know are made up of amino acids. So we need a little bit of some basic science behind here. And they're the building blocks of life. We couldn't live if, we're amino acids. We need our protein. So they play critical roles in the biological functions of muscle contractions, neurotransmission, transportation molecules. There's so many different jobs that protein does, that amino acids do. And its specific function of a protein depends on its unique structure. So what is amazing is there is 20,000 to 100,000 different proteins in the body. I mean, there's just so much going on with proteins. And the wide range, why such a wide range, is it's due to the fact that a single gene can produce multiple protein variants, and that through the processes of different things that proteins do. And there's quite a bit. So the overview of protein types. Again, we know plant-based, amino-based, plant-based, animal-based. So proteins can be categorized animal and plant-based. Had to backtrack there. So each type of protein possesses unique characteristics that are distinct to the amino acids that we were just talking about. And their profile is very different. So the health implications on dietary choices and nutritional balance can make a really important health benefits or not health benefits to the body. So we know that there's a total of 20 amino acids, and we know that there's the body synthesizes 11 of them. So there's 9 that we have to obtain through dietary sources. And we'll review we will review where to find the 9 essential proteins in the body that we can't produce on our own. And just for a side note, where we have the 9 that we need to consume, this is where a lot of controversy comes between a plant-based protein and animal-based protein. And you'll see that each of them offers something, some a little bit more healthier, some maybe not, but then again, it depends on the particular person. So the importance of proteins in human health. We know that they play a crucial role in building and repairing tissue. We know we want to lift weights, we need to have protein to repair our muscle mass. And they serve as enzymes that facilitate biochemical reactions that are essential for structure, function, regulation of the body's cells and tissues. So it just shows you how vital that they are to our body and to organs. They transport oxygen, which is really important, as we know, and the immune system. So if you think of insulin, right? Insulin is a hormone, but insulin is a protein. So we're familiar with that, and we know that insulin regulates blood glucose in the body. So it's part of all processes. And but one key thing here is, as crucial as we see the vital roles that protein does for the body, it's carbohydrates that we need more of than protein. And we're going to keep focusing on protein, but as we go through the slides, we'll do a little bit talk with carbs and fats towards the end, and we'll see how, why, where, when those proteins need to come in. But it is your carbohydrates that are your number one source. And this is where that controversy starts a little bit. So, all right. So here is a question to ask. If you have your phone right with you and you put the camera up on that QR code, the question is, how many grams of protein do Americans consume in one day? And it'll open right up on your phone, and it's that multiple choice. You can do 100, 50, 30, or 20 grams. Let me know if there's a problem with that, if anybody wants to unmute and let me know. And if somebody could unmute themselves just to let me know that that's working, that would be wonderful.
It works.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Coming in.
Oh, I have somebody on here. Charlene was saying she's on her phone, so she cannot scan the code.
Okay, all right.
So, but otherwise,
Put it-
everybody, there's a lot of people on the web and this and that. So just
All
her
right,
2
good.
cents.
Good, yeah. She can think in her mind and then we'll see if you're right. Okay, so how many grams of proteins do most Americans consume in a day? Let's see if this will. All right. So everyone has 30 grams. 55% of you said 30 grams, 27% 50, 9% 100, and 20 grams, 9%. Are we ready? Oh, we're getting to 33%. All right, maybe I'll wait another speck or two. All righty. Here is how many grams of proteins Americans consume in a day. And this is a current statistic. 100 grams a day is typical for Americans to consume. That is twice the recommended amount of what we should be having for protein. So a little side note, when it comes to this, we think of it, well, we think we're not getting enough protein, right? A lot of us would think, as we're saying that we're getting only 30 and that we need more, we're actually getting so much more, especially if you're eating a variety of foods that come from meats and come from vegetables, even fruit, and especially grains where protein comes from. There's your animal-based and your protein. And we'll keep going through this more. So is anybody surprised on that? You can unmute and let me know if you have a comment on that and if you're surprised or questions on it.
I can say I was surprised.
All right, yes, 100 is quite a bit. With bodybuilders, it's even double that. We get up to the 200 grams. So yeah, it's amazing. All right, so moving on. So why are we concerned about getting too much protein, right? It would be wonderful if I could switch this and say we're not getting enough. There are some people that don't. So we know elderly people may not, they eat a lot less of their of food. So when you have less calories coming in, that's less of everything, right? Not just protein, it's fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals. But if we look at excess protein effects, consuming too much can lead to various issues. And it causes kidney damage with extra strain on the kidneys to filter the waste products. So we don't want that to happen. And it can lead to digestive problems, including constipation and also bloating. And high intake of protein also brings in high intake of fat, preferably saturated fat. So if you were to eat a very low to no carbohydrates diet, and you deplete your glucose stores in your muscles, if you start to deplete that and you need energy, the body can make protein into energy, but it's very, very expensive, and it takes a while for the body to do that. But when you think about it, if we're depleted of our glucose and we need our body to make energy for us, it's taking it from our muscle mass. So then that kind of counteracts everything that we're trying to do by eating protein. So I think that one particular statement is why that gives us more of an understanding of how important the balance of our macronutrients are. And I know a lot, social media, television, the food manufacturers especially, they push the protein, and whatever's out on the web, we have to learn, or what's out for information anywhere, we have to learn to really ask the questions as, to what individually how much we need for protein, and maybe what your client actually really needs. And we'll go over some of that.
I can say that Michelle shared that apps like MyFitnessPal recommend 93. So it's kind of no wonder that people consume 100. Yeah.
Right. And that's a really great point. A lot of the apps that are out there really do push the protein, only because that's the hot item. That's what they do. And yes, when it comes a lot of when people want to lose weight or they want to build muscle, we're always like more protein to a point, right? And a lot of the apps that are weight loss apps or tracking your diets have a lot to do with weight loss, and it's the protein that they're going to push. And that will always come back on you, because the protein will be broken down. And then that's why when you think of it, people can lose a lot of weight and they're on high protein, low carbs, low to medium fat, and they've lost a significant amount of weight. We know a good amount of that is water. We know some fat, but there's always a decent amount of our muscle mass that is just catabolized. The body's just using it for energy because of not having those carbs. So that was a good point. Thank you. Okay, so we want to build muscle, not steak. This is nothing against anyone that eats steak. This is where we get confused, and I want to make sure that I can kind of add some enlightenment to this. So eating an extra steak isn't going to boost the muscle mass per se. It's the strength training that is the key. So the more you put into strength training, those muscle fibers will break down. You get your rest, they build back up. We get stronger muscle. We do need protein to maintain that muscle mass. So that's where it's more strength training or efficient strength training than the protein that helps to keep that muscle mass. So we focus on lifting weights and resistance exercises for effective muscle growth, incorporating regular workouts, balanced nutrition for optimal results. And remember, muscles grow through effort. They grow through effort. They do not grow through extra protein. So that's really important, especially being a personal trainer. In the next slide, we'll go through those recommended protein requirements, because protein is very individual to a person. All right, so these guidelines here are recommended protein requirements, and these are the guidelines that are from the International Society of Sports Nutrition, highly credible, evidence-based, peer-reviewed organization. So if you're looking at this, and there's average endurance, strength, and bodybuilders, right? So an average person is someone that's sedentary or lightly active. And I know you've seen, and especially if taking WIT's personal trainer certification, you see that 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So if one of your clients or someone you're health coaching is just, doing light activity, they're most likely already eating maybe close to that 100 grams of protein. And if not, they're eating more than their body needs. So if you want to run, walk a 5K, if you want to do yoga, that type of thing, you can keep it, lightly active, and you only need about that 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. That usually, for someone that's about like 140 or 150 pounds, usually only needs about 50 something grams of protein. So endurance athletes, if you run 5Ks, that's not really endurance. I mean, we need a little bit of it, but if you're someone that runs 100 miles in a week, or you're doing half marathons or marathons, or anything like that, you do need a little bit more, 1.2 to 1.4 grams per kilogram of body weight, because remember, we said it wasn't the steak really that made you need more protein. It is doing more that makes the muscles grow, and then you need a little bit more protein because you are doing a little bit more to maintain that muscle mass so that it's not broken down. Your strength and your power athletes. So I'm not talking, I can use myself as an example. I'm a personal trainer. I do my own workouts. I run, but I run 3 miles mostly at a time. And I have my weights and I do my little thing, but I'm not bodybuilding. I'm not looking to be a power athlete. So I would not take my weight in kilograms and multiply that by 1.6 or 1.8, I would be closer to the 0.8 to the 1.2. So protein has a lot to do with what are you doing for exercise. When it comes to weight loss, yes, because we're looking to lose weight, so we eat less food, we have a deficit in food, we increase exercise, hopefully, because we do need both of that together. But we're taking in less calories, so that means less macronutrients. And when you lose weight, you always lose muscle mass. So that's why for someone that's losing weight, I know it's not up there, but they would be still somewhere between that 0.8 and that 1.2. Your bodybuilders, in short-term cutting phases where they go heavy on the protein, or really low, they're going to have the 2.0 grams of body weight a day. But now look at this chart, because we're going from 0.8 all the ways to 2.0, okay? Now I'm going to switch the chart. I'm going to read right from this. So guidelines from the International Society of Sports Nutrition Physicians statement. It's important to know that the goals of elite athletes consuming more than 2 grams of protein per kilogram per day are focused on performance and not necessarily optimizing their longevity or their overall health. Eating such high amounts of protein each day may crowd out calories from other beneficial foods such as whole grains, fruits, vegetables, other foods which promote optimal health and longevity. Therefore, it's important to understand your short-term and your long-term goals when determining how much protein to consume. This is a very powerful statement, and it's a very true statement because we see that we know we need protein. We know we die without protein. But it has gotten so out of control that we are looking at protein as being the end all, the king, the queen, the everything, the red carpet of macronutrients. And we're starting to go a little too berserk over that. So we need to kind of rein it in, because a lot of times, as this statement says, what is the purpose for this extra protein? What are you actually doing? It goes longevity and health, or are you trying to specifically optimize a performance? So, especially again with personal trainers and health coaches, you have to know who your client is, right? And you could be a bodybuilder, and that is going to work for you because that is your focus, but your client may not be, or you may be eating 1.2 grams of protein, but because we're, as trainers, we might eat a little bit more because we're working out a little bit more, doesn't mean that our client coming in should be at that either. So we know, and I'll probably repeat this again through the next slides, but protein, to know somebody's protein needs and to know your own, it goes with your activity level, your height, your weight, age. So there's a lot that's put in there. And it's very individual to what you need. So let's talk about some protein content in foods. So we know that there's salmon that contains 22 grams of protein. There's chicken, 3.6 ounces, contains about 31 grams. Beef, and egg, and Greek yogurt. These are all really great leaner, if it's lean cuts of beef, of protein. And having that is another great way of getting in your protein needs. And your animal proteins are always going to be a little bit higher, not on all plant-based proteins, but a little bit higher than your plant-based. But again, it is that variety of what we need to do or eat. So protein contents in foods. So if we're looking at legumes and protein in grains and vegetables, in nuts and protein-rich starches, if you think of legumes, think of edamames. Those contain 17 grams of protein per cup. Lentils are about 18 grams per cup. Broccoli itself has a little bit over 2.5 grams of protein, and it goes all the ways down to protein-rich starches of oatmeal, as you can see, a medium-sized potato. They all have protein. So most of the time we think we're not eating enough, but if we're eating meats, lean meats, and we're eating beans, and we're having vegetables, I know a lot of health coaches and personal trainers out there. I know we're eating oatmeal. We're telling people eat oatmeal, potatoes. We don't think that has protein in it, but that's how we get to that point that we were discussing earlier, that we can get up to 100 grams of protein in a day. Because guess what? Think of watermelon, right? Watermelon, it's mainly watermelon. A cup of watermelon has close to 2 grams of protein in it. Who would think that watermelon does? I never realized that. And if you're like me, I can pretty much eat a whole watermelon. So my protein content's going up just on that. So I love watermelon. All right, so I wanted also, and if anyone has questions, or if anyone on, especially when we're going to talk about some protein bars and a little bit about protein powders, if you have one that's out there that seems, pretty healthy, let us know. The thing that I wanted to say about healthier protein bars, as you can see, the IER is in red, healthier protein bars. Many of these, and some of these I'm sure you've seen or eat, many protein bars are high in calories and sugar. No matter how you look at it, there's so many different lists out there for protein bars that I think it's the Center, oh, I'm going to say it wrong, the Center for Nutrition in the Public Interest. It's a magazine, if anyone's heard of that. They are a nutrition watchdog, and they give every year a list of protein bars. They'll give your protein powders. They'll give cereals, and they'll tell you like the best bites, the worst bites. And they'll always tell you too that for protein bars, it's always going to be high in sugar and always going to be high in calories. However, some of them are better options, as you can see. So you choose protein bars with natural ingredients, as little as artificial additives and preservatives that you can find. And these are some of them with the RX bar. They use egg whites and dates to sweeten the Kind bars. They have lots of nuts and fruits. I love the Lara bars. They're simple whole food ingredients. However, on each of these different kinds of bars, not all flavors are good. One flavor, like in a Lara bar, the cashew bar is better than the peanut butter bar. So you just have to look what's good for you and what your nutrition goals are. Does anybody have a favorite bar or one that's not listed that you think would be considered a healthier protein bar? I used to live on them, but not anymore. They're easy, they're convenient, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they are convenient, and they actually have their place. So it's convenient. And the same thing is with your plant and whey protein powders, right? So protein powders we know are very popular among people who want to get protein in for their workouts, right? And this is where if when you're at the gym or you go to a gym, and lots of people have their protein in their hand, they have their protein shake, they have their after protein shake. Sometimes it gets a little bit too much, but again, we have to individually look at what we're doing for workouts. And protein powders, they're due because of their high biological uptake into the body, right? Like the fast absorption, it's already digested, if you will, and it's fast absorption, and nothing wrong with that. Plant proteins are usually favored for sustainability and suitable, of course, for vegans, but either one works for its purpose of getting something in that is going to go quick into the body. But the necessity of protein powders depends on the individual's dietary needs, and whole foods also contain the adequate protein that you would need. Sometimes just like bars, there's too much sugar, too much fake sugar, and too much of certain chemicals that that we can't read. You know, I have to Google certain ingredients because I can't even pronounce them. So if you're running late for an appointment, or you can only have a little bit of something in your stomach before your workout, something like this works in a bar too, but you don't want to sway yourself away from not having your whole foods for protein. You don't want to just always go to that bar or that powder. All right, I have one more question, a little fun poll again. So since we're talking about protein, you'll do the same thing. You can put your camera up there, and we're looking at what is the top protein choice in America. Do most of us in America generally eat beef, chicken, beans, or tofu? And I know people going, we know it's not tofu, right? But we'll see what you all think.
I put mine in.
All righty. All right. You're coming in. It's getting there. And we're about getting there. All right. I'm going to get another 10 seconds and I'm going to click that slide and we'll see where we're at. Find my mouse again. It keeps getting lost. All right. Here we go. Let's see what we're doing. All right. So top protein choice. We have 79% chicken, 21% beef, no beans, and no tofu. I will say the 0% is correct if it were a different question, because beans and tofu are not being eaten, but you are all pretty much correct. It is chicken. Chicken is the top protein choice of America. We know, maybe not now, but it usually is the cheapest leaner protein that you can get, and it's versatile and easy to cook. So, chicken being the top protein choice, Americans eat 100 to 102 pounds of chicken per person per year. That is a lot of chicken. The flip side, that's a lot of chicken, yes. The flip side to that is turkey is lower in calories and fat than chicken is. They're both lean, but turkey is much lower in calories and in fat. So good job on that. Yeah, good. Okay, so any questions at this point? I'm just going to kind of transition a slide or two to the energy building blocks, and then of course we'll open this up for questions or discussion or anything. So looking in the question thing. Okay. All right, so energy building blocks. What does that actually mean? So when we look at a balanced diet, quality sleep, stress management, and proper hydration, those along with a balanced, all with the balanced diet are for maintaining optimal energy levels. So we can't just eat our protein or just eat, our proteins, fats, carbs. Of course, those are macronutrients, those have calories, we get our energy from there. But this is the point where I was saying I was just going to talk a little bit about carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are the primary source of energy. Notice I didn't say protein. Protein is not the primary source, but remember, it can be a source. Not always the best for it to be a source. Carbohydrates fuel the brain and they fuel body functions. So proteins are essential for muscle repair and growth, and they contribute to sustained energy because protein is filling as well as fiber, right? Those two things are very filling, so they sustain our energy. We feel full, but it allows our energy to go a little bit longer. Healthy fats are vital for long-term energy storage and hormone regulation. So they all have a really vital importance in our body, just as protein does. And together, it's all the carbs, the fats, the protein that ensure a steady stream of nutrients for us to have our energy, building blocks of energy. And when we look at stress management and sleep is crucial for restoring our physical health, right? And it also restores the mind. We look at hydration, and that's vital because it's water that supports all the bodily function and helps prevent fatigue. Sometimes when we say, my gosh, I just feel like my energy is really zapped, you know, I maybe I need more protein or maybe I need more carbohydrates. Sometimes it's mostly you're dehydrated because we've heard that saying, if you're thirsty, you're usually like 1 or 2 days behind being hydrated. So if you were to drink a couple glasses of water, I'll say about 2 glasses, wait a couple minutes, you may find that you start to feel a little bit more energy. So dehydration really zaps our energy. So the building blocks primarily of energy start with nutrition. We need that proper nutrition, but they conclude with an adequate amounts of sleep, hydration, and also managing our stress levels, because stress can zap us deplete us, I should say, of chronic stress can deplete us of certain vitamins also. So deficit in any of these do eat away at your nutritional energy blocks. Okay, so as I said, this is balanced meals for energy. Carbohydrates are the primary source of energy for high intensity activities, providing quick fuel, right? It provides quick fuel to power performance. That's why we need carbohydrates. We need to get up and go. Fats, now they're ideal for sustained energy during low intensity, right? So we're doing a low intensity workout. We need that stable energy source. Now the protein, we know already as discussing that the muscle repair and provides energy during prolonged workouts, endurance workouts. Those marathoners are having protein, but they're also having carbohydrates and fat. So you need all 3 of them, but they do specific things. Carbohydrates, quick energy. Fats, sustained energy. Proteins, muscle repair. And that's really important, understanding the 3 of them for what they're used for, especially if we're training people of different fitness levels, if we're health coaching people with weight loss, or trying to motivate them to exercise, or just to eat a good balanced meal. All right, so when we look at this, so a balanced diet, we talk about that. What does a balanced diet really look like? So carbohydrates, because they said we need to eat more carbohydrates than anything. And that percentage is between that 45 and 65% of daily calories. A lot of that is that essential energy aiding in bodily functions. The brain only really works on carbohydrates. When we're really low on them, if we're doing really low carbohydrate diet, I don't know if anyone's ever tried that, but you feel very unfocused, you feel foggy, you feel tired. The brain needs the carbohydrates, the body needs the carbohydrates. Then the second primary macronutrient we need is fats. That's anywhere between 20 and 35% of our daily calories. We know that they support cell growth, hormone production, and also your fat soluble vitamins. We need that to absorb that. Third, vital to the body, but third in line is protein. 10 to 30% of those daily calories are crucial for building and repairing tissue. The ranges go when you see 45 to 65, 20 to 35, 10 to 30. Those ranges have a lot to do with what are you doing for your activity? What is your weight? What is your height? What is your age? What is your environment like? Are you in a very stressful environment and you're losing, B vitamins and C vitamins? Are you in an environment that something happened and you were sick and you couldn't exercise for a long time, or maybe you're pregnant? Those protein requirements are different. So you use those ranges for what works best for you. Not everybody is going to have 65% of carbs, 35% fat, and 30% of protein. So there's that range to cover all general for what you do in everyday life. Okay. Let's change. All right. So thank you for your attention and for participating. So I hope that you found this, some of this I'm sure you already knew, some of it maybe was new and actually got you thinking. And I'd love to have anyone ask me any questions, and or even just comments are fine too. So thank you very much.
I've got a bunch of thank yous coming in. I don't know if people have some questions. Now's the time. Again, you're all unmuted, or you can certainly type something in and I will pass it on.
Look, trying to find my video. I'm looking left, right, so I apologize if I move too much. My video.
The multiple screen effect. I get it. We had another presenter with 3 of them, and it was really tough to watch where she was looking.
Right.
Bob, Pamela, they're all saying thank you. Jennifer, got a gracias in there as well. Thank you, Bob.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah, I mean, if nobody else has any questions, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of great stuff in there. Some of the stuff I forgot about, and a
Good
lot
review.
of good stuff with the variety, with the plant-based and so on. That's what Michelle was sharing. The plant-based was a good insight as far as option diets wise, and Janet says very interesting. So I think that's the thing. It gave us some things to think about, gang, and some direction as far as how we approach with our clients based on their goals. Are they an athlete? Are they just trying to do some basic stuff to stay healthy? You approach it with the proteins, with those key things, and I think that's the best thing that kind of rang the bell. I think we don't always consider those aspects of the demand of the body and what it needs to recover. Again, that day of rest is when recovery happens, and I think we kind of look past that sometimes in how we design our workouts.
Very true. We need to build that in.
And we definitely know that they don't pay attention as to the days of rest. They just think, I got to push through this, especially now that there's heat everywhere. I just need to push. And then, of course, then they end up on a gurney somewhere.
Exactly. Right. I've seen it too many times. So, exactly.
Yeah, Emily wrote, helpful to let the clients the protein is not number one. It's part of the concept, the big picture. So.
It really is. It's a great point. It is just part of that. And that was my hope for everyone, was to give all of you just that food for thought and to kind of rein it in a little bit and say, okay, wait a minute, where do these steps for these, macronutrients, because protein has just exploded and it's going to keep exploding. And there's so much information out there that is wrong about protein. So it's good to get that foundation and then build from there.
Yeah, well, that's why I love having you on. It's something certainly we can do more of on a regular basis. Everybody can let me
Yes.
know in the survey we sent out, because I definitely like the idea of doing something with a regular routine of dietary considerations that a
Right.
lot of us have either forgotten about, don't know enough about, and
Mhm.
it's easy to grab the stuff that just comes floating by you and not necessarily dig down and figure out how it really plays into the variety of clients you have. Like you said, you have a lot of 45 to 65 or whatever it is. We all have different ones. Are you dealing with athletes? Different game, different game. So, but anyway, I love it, and thanks, Sue, and everybody. You have a great day, and of course, those of you that have the subscription 2 and 3, you will be getting your quiz, as well as those that did some of the other options there, because we're all about giving these free webinars in here all the time. But if you need the quiz for the CEC, you can go from there. The options are there to help you out too. So everybody have a great day, and stay cool. Okay. Thanks,
Stay
Sue.
cool for sure. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.